Hello, how's everyone doing? I'm coming on to do another reading. And since I've gotten my kitchen desk space set up, I'm just feeling more inspired. So thanks for being here today with me. I am Liz, and I am a licensed clinician, a mom, a light worker. I am a Reiki master practitioner, and I've been doing like trauma and shadow work with a lot of individuals I worked with over the last 10 years, really, more in the clinical sense. And then recently, maybe, excuse me, my throat needs to be cleared. Over the last like year, I've been doing more integrating spirituality and ritual and oracle and things like that into the work I was doing, and now I'm just fully doing oracle, spiritual, kind of just like creative, passionate stuff right now. So thus I made this channel about 6 months ago. I'd say I just like felt the need to put myself out there and get over this fear of being seen, and yeah, it's going pretty good so far. I'm happy about it. And I was going to do some tarot today because I don't use tarot a whole lot, and I haven't used hardly any in this channel. So I got Emperor upside down for past. So an Emperor who's maybe still coming into their power. Noticing he's got an Ankh tattoo on his arm, and he's sitting on what looks kind of like Jupiter, I would guess. And he is holding a chess piece with a bull skull on the wall, and he's got some energy coming down from the sky. Excuse me. Sorry, I've been getting over a cold thing for the last couple weeks. So let's do some present energy. So Emperor is Major Arcana, and it's kind of becoming the Nine of Cups for present energy, becoming the authority in our lives, owning our power, and practicing discernment, healthy boundaries, and also being passionate. Okay, so we got the Nine of Cups, so that's like all the things that one might nearly hope for. It's like all the treasures, the plants, pets, children, the things you love. They are here in, whether that's here right now, or here in the next couple of days or the next couple of weeks. It's time is not so kind of straightforward as we think. Time is kind of occurring all at once. Some believe that we are experiencing our past, present, future, and they all kind of converge sometimes. So just thoughts. I'm kind of getting that maybe this timeline is one that's here for us, the future King of Swords. So yeah, he looks like a baddie. Just he's been through some battles, and he's got a lot of guides around him to support him. He's got the crow, he has dragonfly, he has a pretty cool looking rune up there on top of the light pole. He has an owl energy, so the wisdom, and he looks like his gaze is really set on something. He's focused, he knows where he's going. He has his own destiny in his own, oh, he's got crow feathers on his shoulders too, so he's very much in the crow energy. So yeah, tapping into that like dark, intuitive guidance. Maybe even like Hecate is like, the one that ushers us through crossroads. So maybe he's recently crossed through a crossroad and he's now wearing that as like a shawl of honor on his shoulders. Excuse me. I'm just making some tea for my throat. I feel totally fine, but just have like congestion and stuff that's coming up. Anyways, so yeah, he's in these icy mountain range. His eyes are a little icy, but he like looks very fixed on what he plans to do. And not in a like cold way, but in a way that like he doesn't need anyone else's like approval for what he's got going on and what he plans to do. So beautiful. I like that energy for our best possible outcome. Let's get some more info on the Emperor in the past, as a past energy. I'm gonna do the Starseed Oracle. And that last one was the Light Seers Tarot. I just got a text from my mom. She's so sweet. She ordered me turkey and a meal for 4 from the local market. Health food market, which is, and she texted me, don't forget to pick up your food tomorrow. So sweet. Thank you, Mom. Love you. Mom to the best. Okay. So hope y'all are having a good holiday week. I'm looking forward to it. It's been nice so far. Ooh, we got star bathing upside down. So light body, crystal grid, transmission, activation. So I like that. It was upside down in our past. So maybe the something was blocking us from being in our authority and being able to receive this light body crystal transmission activation. So let's see what else in the past was. I'm gonna do one more of these possibly, please, and then we'll do unicorn. And please use your discernment and your heart and your intuition about if these messages fit for you. If they don't, trust that they're here for someone else. So leave it for them. And, but yeah, check with your higher self to see if anything I'm saying fits for you. That is the fun of getting to have lots out there in the world, is we are getting to build our discernment in what's for us and what's not meant for us. Oh, okay, we got 3 more. That's fine. We're going to do it. The Great Severing, Mars energy, anger, conflict, softening to love. Well, maybe this is more Mars energy than Jupiter energy. It's been a while since I was in the physical sciences, so I'm going to go with that. This definitely is more red, like a Mars. So we got the Mars energy. Anger, conflict, softening to love. So interesting, this Mars energy actually looks like the Valley of the Kings in Egypt, where I was just at, which is very spiritual place. I have the chills. There's like a face in the mountain here. So yeah, lots of spirits there. There was a town of people living here for a long time, and they actually were forced to move. A lot of them were originally there. They had moved to help build the Valley of the Kings, you know, when it had been constructed. And then eventually they were discovering more tombs. So they moved, people had to relocate and move out. So there's not too many houses close by, but you can kind of still see the ruins of these houses. So interesting that there's this conflict energy, and definitely like a pyramid right there. So we have that energy, Egyptian energy, with it looking like the Valley of the Kings there. And then Earth School, life lessons, soul growth, study, higher learning. So yeah, that's been part of what we had to go through with that Emperor in reverse energy. So she was like diving right in into Earth to learn the lessons, to study, and yeah, it's got lots of clouds, so like air energy. It almost looks like she's like leaping from some combusting nebula or something. So really pretty energy. So possibly this person came from somewhere else in one of their recent or more prominent past lives, or, you know, whether that's past, present, future. It's up for debate. So a new earth. So what I mean is, like, if it's concurrently happening, you know, these other lifetimes, is something that I love the thought of, because it sometimes makes a lot of sense of, like, why am I going through so much karma here on earth of things that aren't necessarily related with the things I went through. And so that can make a lot of sense if it was from, you know, for some of us, if it's from another alternate timeline that we're accessing and or healing through. So a new earth, it's happening. Keep holding the vision. It's beautiful. I'm going to pour my tea in the strainer really quick in my teapot. So thanks for your patience. Apparently my throat needs it today. I've been going through lots of throat chakra upgrades anyhow. So yeah. It's like every time I get on, it seems like my throat starts getting clogged up. So it could just be, I'm also like someone that picks up on other people's energy. So it could just be the collective or general collective energy that I'm picking up on too, of stuff that we're clearing, finding our voice, which certainly is part of that emperor getting into his authority, which we did. We're in the process of, or in the recent past, we did, to get to that Nine of Cups. Is kind of, we had to go through things we weren't in our power and in our authority, and learn the lessons, right, of the conflict, learning to soften to love, you know, have our soul growth, study higher learning, and learn about the discernment of the King of Swords, learn about how to express healthy boundaries with the King of Swords, which is like our current and present, current, near future energy. So that's the lessons we've been going through, is the lessons of the importance of the King of Swords energy. And that's opening us up too for this activation that was reversed. But now when we are more in our authority and maybe releasing old connections that are not for our highest good, or maybe just changing the way they look, in which maybe we aren't looking to those relationships for our wholeness now. We are able to, through our own healing, know who we are, and then return back to those relationships with healthier boundaries and more unconditional love. We can be understanding of what people have gone through, because we understand what that looks like to go through our own lessons too. We're all here. We all mess up. We all hurt other people, you know, and then we learn the lesson or we don't. So we have a choice. And so when we make the choice to learn those lessons, we start to be able to accept this activation in our light body that is offered to us. So I love that. That's beautiful. Okay, and I did activate a little Reiki energy before I started to, so I was just feeling into that. Let's see, any supporting energy for this Emperor finding his power, or Empress. And I love looking at it as like the Emperor, Empress, because they really are like the divine union of one another. So the Emperor, we need both in our internal to be balanced. We need both the ability to be an authority of our life, and also be able to be in our feminine and our receiving, which is the Empress, in touch with our intuition. And so we had to go through the healing to get to that. Through that conflict, sometimes in relationships that looks like having conflict, maybe feeling uncomfortable, like we are the one creating conflict, even because we have higher expectations of people, and then also learning that in a lot of ways they're just there to mirror the unhealed things in us. So they are there to help us to know ourselves better, know where we still haven't healed enough. Oh, and I love that too. Freedom. Let the unicorn set you free. So this is my Diana Cooper unicorn cards. So this is a person that is being guided out of he just had his ball and chain taken off his ankle, and Unicorn is ushering his way out of this imprisonment that maybe he could have been self-imposed, but he's got some really sparkly energy around him that I am feeling has helped usher him out of there to have that wisdom through the transmutation of his own experiences and lessons he had to learn to his soul purpose. So act on your soul purpose today. So this person looks like they are in a beautiful green nature place, maybe on a farm, and they have a scroll that looks like it's lit up, and they're kind of receiving their life purpose through their higher self of understanding. So we have 10, and then soul purpose is 29, so 11 or 2. And then soul satisfaction, 34 or 7. Aim for that which makes your soul rejoice. Yeah, so, this is part of this present 9 of Cups energy is we are realizing all of the things we had to go through, the pain, the challenge, the struggle was here to help us connect with both our soul purpose and, our joy, what makes our soul rejoice. So soul satisfaction, stepping into our destiny, right? Our dharma, what we're here to do. And so this person, there's one woman playing the clarinet, and there's dolphins in the background. There's this beautiful Pegasus coming in with a red heart. Could be I'm just thinking carnelian. I don't know, I've been liking that gemstone lately. It's been feeling like a really good one for connecting with this soul purpose passion. And then there's this family with a child and they're next to the water. There's some waves and some sparkles. So really beautiful energy. Thank you, unicorns, for that. Soul satisfaction. Oh, okay. See how many times I drop a card today. I have had a day of dropping things, or not me, but rather my toddler. It was a morning of a few cleanups. So that it's kind of funny. And then consequently, before this recording, I went to go put on my oil from Egypt that helps me to get really centered and in a meditative state. And I was like, oh, I want to bring my guides, my little statues to sit on my desk. And I have this Kuan Yin I just got because she's very much in her Empress energy, which I love, and she's been coming up for me a lot lately. So I wanted to have that to connect with, and I dropped it, wouldn't you know it, and her head fell off. So I had to go glue it back on. I'm not sure if this Gorilla Glue is the thing, but kind of funny. The theme of spills, and I was reflecting on it about how it doesn't really bother me anymore, the things that come up in the 3D, I'm sure it's kind of annoying when you spill stuff and you have to clean it up, or your kid does, but it doesn't get to me anymore. It's not stressful. It's just kind of makes me laugh. And just like the Kuan Yin, I just kind of am like, oh, it's just kind of silly more than anything. And it's like, okay, what's the message in here for me is the way I look at these things. And so with my daughter, it's compassion, right? About understanding, she's just a little human and she's learning. And of course, there's always still a part of me that wants to get frustrated and be like, oh, I gotta clean this up now, and can you be more careful? But that's not a part that I express so much anymore. I listen to it, I know it's in there, and I don't shame myself for having it. But I now respond to her with more of a understanding, compassionate place, for my own healing, but also just through education and early childhood education of like knowing that they just don't have a skill, and that's what we're teaching them is in these experiences is how to have a skill, or how to have like practice the skill of patience. Like, so for my example, it was like she wanted to drink her smoothie outside of the cup, but there was a lid on it, and she wanted to like be able to pick it up because the straw was getting clogged. And she took it upon herself when I was making her lunch for the day to open up this straw and then drop the whole thing. And so that's how it happened. And so of course there's still a part of me of was like, okay, next time I want you to wait for me to come help you. So we're teaching a skill of like, it's not like a shame thing, it's not like an anger thing. It's like oops, and next time, can you wait for me to do that so I can do it for you, and or like we can do it together. And so, I'm teaching her the skill of patience of like, yeah, I know I might have been busy for a minute making your lunch, but you got to ask and wait, and then one day soon she'll be able to do things like open a messy smoothie cup on her own without spilling it. But yeah, it just makes me think about this is very much parallel to the process of us parenting our internal parts, and that's why it doesn't like bother me anymore, because I've learned to have more compassion for myself, and that's how I can have more compassion for others. So when I drop something, I'm becoming more aware of like that internal voice, almost like an internal bully that used to be there of like, oh, I can't believe you did that, or this happens all the time, or oh, this is so gonna take up so much time, whatever like the inner like negative thoughts are. As we start to do the work of becoming more sound in our own need to learn lessons, and even for us when we're adults, like I'm in my later 30s and I still like am learning these things, because sometimes we have to go back and relearn those lessons that we didn't get the safety and the opportunity. And a lot of times that's part of the Emperor journey, right? Is like a lot of these relational things where we weren't in our power was because we had been going on our unconscious programming of when we were growing up and how we were expected to be, and how, expectation of what we should do for our life, and feeling like we really have to do that. And now it's like, we don't need that anymore. Now we know like, oh, I can start to actually explore like what I want to do, and I can change my life if I don't like it, and I can find what feels more resonant for me of how I'm living, how I'm talking to myself. And of course it's in a compassionate way, because we know that our adults ancestors didn't have the tools to understand, or they like privileged really to understand what a lot of the emotional things were underneath, right? Being able to hold the feelings, being able to like be compassionate, understanding, patient, like treating children that they are just as respected as adults, right? That they have every right to take up space and to be heard. And so this is like a part of this, like we are healing not only the divine masculine within ourselves to be able to be the emperor, but we're healing it collectively too. When we heal that within ourselves, when we start to balance the divine feminine and masculine. And when we do that, we can get to our 9 of Cups of like being really cognizant of like, what do I want in my life? What makes me happy? What is going to be my ideal life? And so it's like very like watery, connecting with the emotions of what we want to bring it into our life more. So how is that going to feel when I have my self-love really developed, when I'm really compassionate towards myself, when I'm really able to hold myself through anything? What is it going to feel like when those little things don't bother me anymore? What is it going to feel like then when I start bringing in these healthier friendships that, don't leave me astray, or leave me feeling abandoned, or leave me feeling hurt, whatever, or like, just don't resonate, like the ones that I can actually share these passionate, like, endeavors with and feel like I'm really loved and appreciated and respected for those things. So we had to cut out the relationships and the things, the experiences in our lives that didn't fit, which can sometimes feel kind of cutthroat, but it is like, it's our authority. It's everyone's right to be able to live their life the way they want to. and especially, if they're not hurting anyone else, but like most importantly, like you loving yourself, even if it means having to remove yourself from that relationship, even if it does hurt someone else, like that is a situation where it's okay, it's justified, it's karmically balanced, right? If like no one expects you, from any higher realm to take being hurt or disrespected or bullied, like that is not what we're here to do. We're not here to be stepped on. We're not here to be like overly like putting other people's needs first. Like, yes, it's important to do that and be in community when we have done the work for ourselves to heal in a way so that we can show up more authentically. Then of course, like, go give back to your community, but it's with those healthy boundaries and lessons learned. So anyhow, stuff I just love to get on my soapbox about how important it is when we do, take the time to do the healing, that we can really step into our authority and from a place without shame, without guilt, and being like, yeah, because I'm worth it. I deserve this. Like, you deserved it too when you're little. You deserve it too now. Like, but that's not on me to make that happen for you. It's on me to make it happen for me. And I can model that for you, what that looks like. But I'm not taking on that anymore, that I have to like protect someone from feeling hurt in a situation of their own karmic doing, when it's like they have things to resolve. That's their lessons. So you can send love, and, you can send the highest wishes of, that someone will be able to work out those karmic things on their own, but it's not your job. Like, don't take that on, please. A lot of us have done that unconsciously, especially like if you resonate with being the black sheep in the family, as I have been, like the one who's a little bit more of a rebel and pushes the boundaries. Like, you oftentimes, if you are in that place, like I was, you get to be the one to take on all of the like shadows of the family, and often you're transmuting a lot more stuff than your own, but you were called to be that person because you were powerful and you were capable and compassionate and had that ability to grow your heart in such a quick way, to be able to hold that understanding and empowerment in yourself, and also love and acceptance, and holding the faith for other people in your life, that like they will do it when they're ready. And that's we can hope that we can send that prayer and that intention for them always. But it's also like, it's not on us, it's not our job, and it's really taking us away from our work and what our gifts are and what we're here to offer the world when we get stuck in that. So yeah, come back into your energy, be that emperor, be that empress. Find out, get really intuitive or intentional with the emotions around your 9 of Cups, of like, what does your dream life look like? Envision that. In one of the groups I'm working with of women that I do energy work with, we have been having, and in this last reading I did too, we've been having the infinity symbol come up a lot, and like Vesica Pisces, and like that internal union as a symbolism, and that the Vesica Pisces and infinity being a symbolism for that. But one of the women, beautiful woman I work with, Vasi, she is a dear friend, and she had the intuition of, since I've been getting a lot of that same infinity symbol in my meditations, it really resonated with me, of seeing those emotions and the experience of that dream life on one side of that infinity symbol, and see the other connected with you and your heart space, and meditate on feeling the connection with those two, between those two, as almost as if you're pulling it into you by really sitting in that energy of intentionality. Okay, so this is for the King of Swords. I didn't say it out loud, but I intended that this was a clarification for our King of Swords future energy. Ooh, and we got a Merkaba and full spectrum. Dang, this is electric, powerful. Oh, I got the chills. Yeah, so there's electricity here in the ground, like almost like lightning coming from this Merkaba and going into these skulls, near these skulls, but into the earth, and then, there's these beautiful, like almost like cosmic looking flowers that are lit up and all around her, kind of growing up her arms. She has wings on her back. So I'm getting very much like dragonfly, fae energy. And this Merkaba has a vine connected to it that then is connected to her root, her sacral, and her solar plexus. So it's really like, I'm seeing it as like she's connected with her divine feminine and the divine feminine energy that's here to support us, both cosmically and here on earth. And it's building all the way up through all of her chakras, up to that throat, up to the crown and the third eye, and connecting with this diamond above, which is like, you know, her absolute highest wisdom, highest self, highest being. And she's getting access to that through, ooh, I just have chills all over, through this energetic exchange, like very electric exchange of energy, of being very intentional with what she's calling into her life, and living in a way that is in authority with, kind of like being very matter of fact, of like, yes, I'm in this energy of like, this is the life I intended, this is the life I created, I'm calling it in, this is, you know, I'm not going to feel guilty about it. I am reconnecting with my divine authority, which is part of the theme of the last one too, right? Of like the magician stepping into their divine authority. So very, very resonant still with that. But I want to check out this full spectrum message and see what we have. So, oh, it's under here. 26, so 8. Wouldn't you know it? I opened right to that page. Okay. Creating heaven on earth by honoring the perfection of nature's cycles, going beyond judgment of good and bad. The merging of duality, raw nature, earth wisdom, connecting to ancestors, shadows as the fertile soil for exponential growth. The way forward is in the whisperings of the land, honoring the full spectrum of life. Yeah. So what does heaven on earth look like to you? 9 of Cups. Do you imagine lush green nature, ancient forests, pristine beaches, crystalline water systems, and all the planet's residents in full health, living in harmony with each other? And yet nature, in its purest, rawest form, is a balance of life and death, growth and decomposition, the eaters and the eaten. In one way or another, this is the natural flux of life. We already live in Eden, but our efforts to own and segregate bring us further away from this paradigm. Power trips, the need for imagined security, fear of avoidance of the shadow keep us out of our freedom. The need to preserve and hold on tightly only stunts our growth and leaves us drawing in a sea of plastic. The real disease on earth, the barrier to Eden, is in our minds. Life happens, but it's our perception of good and bad and our black and white judgments that prevent us from seeing the grander truth. When duality becomes one, we will find Shambhala before us. Perhaps we can find inspiration from nature and the animal kingdom. Does the tiny frog spend its days anxious over its vulnerable future? What happens when we realize fertile compost greets us and we allow ourselves to transmute our pain? When we honor all that came before, our roots are nourished and we grow with more vitality, vibrancy, and life force. We can anchor more light for the collective and in turn seed new growth. What happens when we realize the keys to our future are in the wisdom of the earth and the dreamings of the indigenous? That's the answers are in the geometry of the macro and microcosm, the nurturing embrace of oneness in Mama Nature's arms. What happens when we find peace with the full spectrum of life? Even the notion of separation, this disease, can be symbolized as no more than a blackened leaf on a healthy tree. The ebb and flow of our evolution and devolution is a temporary blip in the universe. The message is to be what we can, to ground heaven on earth, but not out of fear. We often try to avoid or run from negative situations, but when fear steers our decisions and actions, far more devastation can result. When we choose to let our hearts lead us away from stories and outdated patterns, our challenges become the fertile compost that feeds our ascending tendrils as they reach to the heavens and ground its light back on earth. So the divination they offer is to step out of the black and white mentality of judgment, go beyond the concepts of good and bad. This card invites you to honor the full spectrum of life and find a new way of perceiving your situation. When we judge something, we create a story around it. These stories often create limitation. Subconsciously, we gather so many of these stories over a lifetime. To heal our disease and crystallize the new way, we need to create a space of no story where miraculous healing can happen. This space empowers us to be all we are and allow us to know our truth. Oh, I love that. Thank you, Spirit, for that message. Embrace the full spectrum of creation in all her colors and the raw, muddy, earthbound shadow parts of a situation to determine whether they are actually bad, excuse me, or stories you have held onto are limiting your perspective. So I really appreciate that wisdom. It's beautiful to add to what we were talking about a lot of us that had to go through the experiences of having conflict, anger, that Mars energy, through the life lessons, through the relationships, through the things that we all have as humans here on Earth. Most of us cannot escape that, right? And those were there for us. Like, we don't have to make meaning. We don't have to make it meaning if we're not there yet. Like, don't, shame yourself into being like, I need to be grateful for my hardships. Like, you don't have to, but like, you're in just the right place of where you need to be of that lesson. But it's also saying, like, one aspect of healing these lessons, which I think is really important to share, because I talk about this journey a lot on this channel, is that once we can kind of feel the feelings, learn the lessons, is to release it. We need to, like, release it in a way of knowing, like, it's just a part of us. It's not all of us. And it's actually not our identity. Like, it happened to us, but we don't have to take that on as our identity. Like, that's karmic that we don't have to hold because we learn a lesson of it. So we can integrate the wisdom, but not live from that place of, like, that wounded healer. Ultimately, that's what, this King of Swords maybe looks like he's been through some stuff. He looks like he's got icy gazes going on, but he's actually just like, I'm intentional. I know where I'm going. Yes, I've been through the battles, and I wouldn't be afraid to put those lessons into action in the next relationship if it comes up. He knows, he's discerning, he's going to do it if anyone messes with his peace, with his freedom. But he's also not like, he's not going to be telling that in every story, in every relationship. He kind of knows that that's just kind of like teaching a kid how to tie their shoes. Like, that's just one of the lessons we integrate. We don't identify with being the kid that doesn't know how to tie their shoes when we passed it, And so it's like, we're not shaming ourselves if we are very much stuck in that. It's okay. There's something there to be felt and released and healed still and held. Oftentimes it's like parts of us that, like, aren't ready to, they're fearful about letting go of that identity. But also, like, when we do, we can tap into this full spectrum, being really in that unlimited perception, being able to connect with, the microcosm of life, of what it's like, why are we here? Like, what's the purpose of this greater? And usually it's to, like, transmute, share that, share the gems or the gifts from that experience. So the shadow was important for us to not fully release, because those are where we get the lessons and where we get our gifts from. And, but how do we bring those diamonds into the world then to share this lesson or transmute it in whatever way you wish, whether it's through like your art, your community, nonprofit, way you give back, how you make stuff, how you work with other people on a team. Like, this stuff transcends in any way in our life that we apply, because we are modeling, we are the embodiment of that divine union, of that compassion, and healthy divine authority. Okay, so love that. Creating our heaven on earth, and that 9 of Cups honoring the perfection in nature cycles, going beyond judgment of good and bad, merging a duality. Yeah, so once we merge the duality more, then we also get more in our truth that like being less dualistic of like things are not all good or all bad, right? It's like we can let go of that things having to be good or bad more when we aren't identifying with it as much as like it just was and it had purpose. So it connects us with earth wisdom, with our ancestors, because our ancestors did the work to get us here to start building the lineage. We oftentimes in this generation are the ones that are like healing the karmas, emotional impacts of that hardship they had to go through to excuse me, to establish the family or, you know, the line of bloodline here now. And so we're able to honor that if it's in, you know, your life's purpose to be the one to end those cycles. Like we are doing more than our work. We're actually freeing our whole like ancestry because they didn't want to live in those karmic cycles either, but they didn't know any better. So some of them, I mean, obviously doesn't mean we have to like forgive people if they did things that were extremely harmful to us, but we can accept, you know, that that's kind of, that was their role. And what's our role here? So I'm just pouring my tea out of my cute little teapot. All right. Because my throats has been going off since we started this, which happens a lot when I'm working in therapy and stuff too, or just Reiki. Like I get the same response in my body about a lot of people I'm working with. So we're getting, you know, a lot of this is coming into our power, into our authority, using our voice. So I got my lover's mug. So yeah, that love, you know, divine union of the self-love is the way I really love experiencing that energy now, because it spilled out into everything. So ain't that very relevant for what we're talking about here? So thank you, Kuan Yin, for for being here to support us with that nurturing, loving energy. She really wanted to make a presence today with me dropping and having to reassemble her beautiful head back on. But she is very much an energy that's in that reparenting, having that love, deep love for ourselves, and letting that spill out into our relationships and into the world. So yes, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I think that's feeling pretty good for today. Let me just see if there's anything else that, okay, maybe one more. Okay, I think there's one more that for this light seers. Let's see. 5 of Cups. Okay. So there's these 4 cups that have spilled, and she's very focused on those cups that are spilling and spilling down into the earth. And she has this really magical looking cup behind her. So again, very emotional energy. And sorry, I was gonna cough again. It almost sounded like I was gonna cry. And that's okay too. We welcome all the emotions, but for today it's just coughing for now. So yeah, she has had these other spilled cups. She's dissatisfied, and she's really focused on the energy of the dissatisfaction rather than this full magical ass cup behind her. So yeah, this is a lesson about, you know, the unmerging from the duality, the dualistic thinking we used to have of like, and I get it. I was in this energy for a while of really like focusing on the spilled cups of the things that happen in life that hurt for some of us, that didn't work out the way we planned, you know. And it's tough. It's okay to feel. We need to grieve. Like, we need to release those emotions sometimes, you know. Just let yourself like cry. Like, that's super healing. And it's also a good release of energy. You know, or for me, like, I notice I get like anxiety, and going to the gym really helps me release that out of my physical body. But, you know, do what works for you, but just knowing it's all just energy we have to release. And the more we can do that, release, you know, accept, love on those parts, love on those like wounded younger parts of us that might have felt hurt through attachment. And also like knowing that what were the lessons in that's bringing me to this cup that was actually more for me than the ones that spilled. So I don't know about you, but you know, I'm on the other end of that, like this feeling of 5 of Cups, you know, focusing on the things that didn't work out. And it's beautiful. It's like for me, and it's obviously not, doesn't mean it's not hard sometimes, but it's like, it's the intention of the peace of my 9 of Cups that I've been calling for so long. It's the magicalness that I've been calling for so long. It's the being in friendships that are really like soul satisfying. We love each other so deeply and hold each other in such a way that like I've always wanted those kind of friendships, that these are the ones that I prayed for, I called in. And so yeah, just have chills on that. So it's like confirmation that like, you know, connect with the emotions of what you are calling in as your highest Eden, you know, your highest timeline, and feel the emotions of that, and give space to these emotions too of the spilled cups. But thank you, Spirit, for that. So yeah, I love this beautiful, watery, emotional energy. And I didn't realize too in this star bathing that we now are able to access, because we're doing that healing and releasing what is no longer for us, or you know, arguably wasn't in the past, but now we know the lessons, it's not for us. This star bathing, she's like a woman laying there on the landscape, and she's, you know, almost like merging back in with the earth. So she's really supported by so many guides and, you know, people that really have her back. So it's like, you know, we release and we shed the old things so that we can bring in that which is for us. So yeah, just, I think we've done the work here of, you know, and if you're still working through some of that, just have compassion for yourself. It's okay. You know, we don't need to rush ourselves through that. Sometimes it can feel like we want to, but it's important to like really honor that. Okay, so love this energy for you, and sending just intentions of peace. Oh yeah, and I meant to say, what do you want? What is your intention for the energies you want in your life? When you get really intentional about that, mine about 2 years ago became peace above all else. And I was not going to play with anyone in my energy anymore who was not supporting that. Like, that was my promise to my younger kid, my inner child me that had felt not peaceful for so long. And once you have that promise with yourself, and if you're a determined ass person like I am, like no one can tell you otherwise. No one can like, you know, gaslight you into thinking what you want is wrong, or that you need to put that to the side to focus on something else. Versus it's like, no, I've learned the lessons of my life. I'm not playing with my energy anymore, you know. And I think that's really, so important, to be an authority of our life, that like, you know, we don't have to be cruel about it, but we can be very matter of fact of like, I have the higher vision. I'm connected with my higher self. I know what I need more than anyone could ever tell me. And so for me, it was something of like, in that healing of my lineage of like, peace above all else for me and my daughter, to be able to model healthy love and healthy attachment that I didn't have, you know, my parents didn't have the privilege to be able to fully have healed and offer for me. but I do have that privilege. I do have the ability to be that model for my daughter, and she's not going to have to be like stressed about family that doesn't, that are, in conflict often, or, not really happy, but like, doing it for the kids. Like that for me was my karmic cycle to bring into harmony and balance. And yeah, so love you all, and trusting that, it was these things I was called to share are for a reason. And thank you for sharing your beautiful energy today. I wish you well, and feel free to share anything with me about how this felt for you. You can share some emojis of we had some dragonfly looking energy. We had with this Beyond Lemuria one. Where did that card even go? Oh, okay, I misplaced it somewhere. Anyhow, so yeah, and then we had the Cups energy, we had the Emperor energy, Mars energy, Egypt energy, water. So, stars, unicorns. So share some emojis that you felt really resonated. If you don't have the words for it, that's okay. Or just like if you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Be well. Bye.